Hey Harmonizers, welcome to this video with Alfie. I'm going to take you through a bunch of things, including this is his first time off site. I took him to a horse show that Felix was competing in, so I brought him just to hang out and watch and see what was going on. Also in this video, we're going to see his first ever trots and his first trail ride, so it's going to be a pretty big video with a lot of big things happening for him. He did find this rock particularly scary when we were at the horse show. And they had this jumper show going on, but they also have some obstacles there. So it was a great opportunity to expose him to some different things. Eventually, he was able to get over his fear of this rock, and we were able to eat grass by it. I apologize, I didn't have anybody else able to film for me while we were there. So the footage is just kind of him from his angle, but his trotting footage and his first trail, you'll get to see some other cool clips. So here's him going over one of the bridges. He was like, yep, total piece of cake, especially since I get to eat grass when I get to the other side. He also got to go on some tires for the first time, which was pretty exciting for him. He was a total superstar in the arena. We went into the warm-up ring. Nobody else was in there at the time, and he was super chill about it, did all of his walk-trot transitions and everything with me. And then finished the day by seeing this really scary tent that we hung out with until he could eat grass. But it started to rain, so we had to jet out of there pretty quickly. And now I'm going to take you guys into the arena where I'm going to show you guys his first ever trotting under saddle, which is super exciting. Before we even got to that, we made sure that he was super amazing at the walk. This is Bree riding him, which is one of my training assistants over the summer. Also worked in our summer camp and is working with Sully as well. And he's doing really well. We started to incorporate him into summer camp with staff riding him. So we weren't putting summer camp kids on him, but we were practicing all of the things that they do in summer camp. So posting at walk, 2-point position, walking over the jumps, steering, being in a line, all of those things, having to be patient. There's so many different skills that the horses need to have to be a summer camp horse and to be a lesson pony. They need to be super patient. They need to wait their turn a lot of times. They need to follow in a line and yet also listen to their person. Here doing some more 2-pointing over the fence, and then you can see stopping, waiting. There's Coach Claire there that was helping with the students. And he's doing really well and really quiet. Before we even think about trotting, we want to make sure that our horse is totally comfortable at the walk completely. So that way when we break things down into these little steps, we're just slowly adding a little bit more and a little bit more. And it just seems logical for the horse, and they can stay really relaxed. So there you can see going through the little weave pattern, and Bree saying, no, we're not going to quite follow Alicia just yet. We're going to weave around the last box there to make sure that he's not totally following the other horse in front of him. And then here we're going to go for the first trots under saddle. Super exciting time where we're basically going to now combine his ground training with more of his riding training. So he's been doing trotting in hand for a long time now, and we just incorporated a couple little itty bitty steps of trot there, and Bree's going to give him a treat. And it wasn't a super big trot or a big rhythm or anything that he was doing there, just a little bit of adding that speed and wanting to make sure we reward and let him know that that's the idea that we're looking for, nice and calm, relaxed. And we want Alfie thinking, yeah, sure, like, why wouldn't I do this? This is an easy thing to do because he does a lot of trotting in hand. He's been practicing that. He's been doing a lot of riding at the walk, with doing posting, all sorts of different things. He's been totally comfortable. So we're just adding in now that little layer of doing the trot. And you can see he's doing that really nicely, really relaxed. And we're just adding in that ground with the riding, combining the two together so it makes sense for the horse. We want it to be a logical, natural progression for the horse where he's just like, yeah, of course, like this is an easy thing to do. We want it to look super boring, uneventful, absolutely no bucks or anything like that. And there he had a little stumble, but here going for his first little trot again. And now an actual longer stretch of trot where he's actually getting into that rhythm and Bree doing that posting. And then it was looking really relaxed and comfortable. So I said, hey, Bree, would you like to try doing a trot on your own? And she's like, yeah, sure, no problem. He felt really good. So here he's going for his first ever trot. Look at that, first ever trot. going all the way or about half the way across the arena, and then going to stop and get a cookie there. So wanting to go long enough that he gets into a bit of a rhythm and yet not go too long without rewarding him. It's super important when we're first establishing this really kind, patient way of training where we're avoiding a lot of that dangerous behavior, that we're rewarding him for his good behavior along the way. If you think about kids or people in general, if it's just ask, do, and there's not any praise or any affirmations about, what you're doing well, you can only take so much of that before you just lose it and you get frustrated or you blow up or you say, forget this, not going to do anymore. So we want to be careful that we're not doing that to Alfie and that we're rewarding him along the way and reassuring him. And then as you can see, like when we first started riding him at the walk, he was getting a cookie for doing like just 10 feet. And now look, he's walking around the arena, not getting cookies all the time. So you might be thinking like, oh, if you do that, you're going to have to cookie him all the time. And it's like, well, no, we're his first trots. He's going to get these cookies for doing, half laps around the arena and just little spurts. And then pretty soon we're going to start asking for longer stretches of him doing what we're asking him to do. He's no longer getting cookies for just walking around the arena. He understands that he has to do a little bit more. Just the same way that if you were to go to kindergarten, you get a gold star, sometimes just for showing up or maybe for learning your colors. But by the time you get to grade 8, you're definitely having to do a lot more to earn that gold star. And here he's going around adding in those little bits of trots, trotting around the far end of the arena. So he's exploring trotting in different areas of the arena. And I'm going to stop and get a cookie because we want to make sure we keep rewarding him, keep showing him that if he keeps trying, we're going to keep giving him that positive reinforcement. The result is we're creating this horse that really wants to try, that's eager to please, and he's happy to learn. This is a different rider on him now. This is Riley, who's another staff member that's doing summer camp as well as horse training assistant. The staff essentially get to self-schedule, so we let our senior staff pick their shifts first. And they don't always want to work full-time in camp. Sometimes they want to do a half day of training instead. And so Riley's been mostly working camp, but wanted to do a couple half days of training. And that works perfect for me because then it means that the horses are getting some different exposure, which is good for them to get exposure to different people. So this is Riley's first time doing trots on Alfie. This is a different day, different set of riding. So we didn't go to trotting for the first time and then say, hey, we're going to put a bunch of different people on your back at the same time. That could be a little bit overwhelming. So those were her first little trots. So a little bit choppy, a little bit unsure, but offering that reward and then saying, okay, now we're going to go ahead and do a little bit more trot. And so again, you can see he's like, okay, do a few steps, stop. And she just kind of says, no, actually, we need to keep going a little bit further steps until he can work up into a longer stretch of trot to earn that reward. You can see she's doing a posting trot there. So he's getting comfortable with learning to have that weight shift. Sometimes when you're riding, it's actually really interesting when you ride horses for the first time, green horses that are being started under saddle, no previous training, you really have to sit up tall, and it really helps to, I guess, correct your body position to say, okay, like you have to sit up, you have to have your pelvis tucked under a little bit, and then they can figure out how to go forward. And if you tip forward at all, they tend to stop. All right, guys, this is another big moment here. We are going for our first ever trail ride. We're heading out on the trails with Finn, who is a horse that was in for training over the summer, also for trail riding. And he had gotten to a place where he was really quiet. So we said, you know what? We can go on a trail together. And I wanted to make sure we did this really successfully for Alfie. So we stopped to eat grass by the highway first. It's his first time out by the road. I wasn't sure how he would react to the cars. So we just stopped to eat grass. And then an ATV comes up behind us. So I actually quickly hopped off Alfie and was like, you know what? I'm just going to hand walk him for a little bit. He didn't do anything bad for the ATV, but my philosophy is I would rather jump off my horse when it's my choice, and then I can get back on my horse when I want to, rather than be dismounted involuntarily. So I just hopped off and was like, okay, we'll just wait for things to be quiet again, and then I'll hop back on. So I wanted to show you guys that it's okay to get off your horse, take them for a walk. You can always get back on, provided that you got off on your own free will, because sometimes when you dismount, not on purpose, you can end up injuring yourself, and then you don't always have the option to get back on. So when I saw the ATV, I was like, you know what, we're just going to play it safe. And then we were able to continue on the trail ride, and Alfie actually loved leading the trail. And a large part of that, I think, has to do with my confidence and my eagerness, that the horses just really pick up on that. Because when I took Finn for his first trail, he was also very eager to lead. And I really think the horses just picked that all up from me and my confidence and my curiosity to the whole trail ride. My attitude is very much, this is going to be fun. Like, where are we going? What are we going to see next? And the horses really pick up on that energy. They really match our energy. So it's so important to make sure that we're in the right headspace, because if I'm on this trail ride freaking out a little bit or going, oh my God, what's that? Oh, is that a squirrel? Oh, is that a chipmunk? Then my horse is going to start to get jumpy, because they're going to pick up on my energy and they're going to take that lead from me. And so you can see he's doing really well walking out ahead on that trail. Finn's also doing super awesome being on the trail. And we did a mixture of going through forest, being at the side of the road on open spaces. And then here's a little clip of us heading towards home, having to wait at the highway. Look at what a superstar he is. We didn't film any going across the road the other way, because, you want to make sure you have your reins. And she was riding Finn, who's also technically still in for training and finishing up his training. So we wanted to make sure that we're being safe. So this is waiting at the road for a clear spot. You can see there's lots of traffic going by, and he did really well waiting for all of that. And then I purposely wanted to walk him over the white line, which he gave a little sniff, but I was like, okay, I guess I can walk over that. Sometimes the painted lines can be a visual distraction for the horses, can be a little bit tricky for them to figure out, but he does that really well and walks across the road super nicely, comes across. All in all, ended up being a really relaxing trail. Finished up by coming home and riding by all of the chickens and the dogs that were barking, and always make sure that we walk towards home. We didn't do any trotting on the trail ride whatsoever. I wanted to just go out and walk and relax and just make sure the horses knew that there's no hurry, no reason to get anxious or upset, and then that helps them to stay really relaxed for future trail rides and not being anxious or prancy on the way home. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Thanks for watching.
Remember to subscribe and check out harmonyhorsemanship.com for even more learning.